Kolbrin Bible, Book 5, Book of Manuscripts, Chapter 31, Scroll of Thotis. MAN 31:1. These writings are dedicated to the great God who is eternal. May they live forever among things that survive to serve man. May they be an enlightening lesson and a warning to those who follow. For now a dark night of ignorance and fear overshadows the land. Your servant bows to your will, O great God who is benevolent towards those who serve with purity of intent. MAN 31:2. We who remain loyal glorify you, not with mere words, for the time of hypocrisy is past, but in our inmost thoughts and in our deeds. We remember you as the sun rises to your glory in the morning, and as in the evening it sets into your peace. Teach us that there is joy in being your servants. Keep us under your protecting wing. MAN 31:3. Great Spirit who made the Nile to flow, the great water which never wearies or ceases from its journeying. Its movement is as everlasting as the wind. May the stream of my life be filled to overflowing with the waters of righteousness. Loose the shackles of wickedness which hold me captive. Let not the string of my lute be broken while I play, and let not my labors be ended before their fulfillment. Though men hail me for a greater thing than any that has been done before, it will not be my memorial. Time will eat away my name, but let many mornings dawn on my waking, that I may complete the task entrusted to me. Remove the fears that lurk about me in the solitude. Cut off the bonds of affliction that bind me down. Let my spirit roam free. We, who remain loyal, know your laws and the great law, which is as firm as the hills of immortality. In the days to come, great songs will be sung unto you, even as they were sung in the days of old. MAN 31:4. The priest can no longer be held in restraint by motif, and dark days threaten us. It is a time of foreboding, yet there is peace throughout Camus. The state of men in high places is such that the beauty of truth has to be concealed from them, lest they profane even her purity. Under the shelter of her mantle, even those strengthened by the vision seen in the eternal chambers are liable to lapse into many wickednesses. They would say in their hearts, being one who is purified, I am safe. I can cleave the dark waters of evil as a seabird does the ocean, and rise all wickedness falling away from me as water falls from the back of the soaring bird. Thus it is today, and was even in the days long gone, for such things are written in the old manner on a scroll found at Honu. MAN 31:5. The first land on earth wherein men dwelt was not Camus. It was a land out beyond the salt waters. To this land came the immortal spirit in the form of a radiant one from heaven, who had left his more enlightened place to dwell among beasts in the lower kingdom of sorrow. In some mysterious way, he became incarnated as man. How, we know not, but he founded the race of man. It is not as recorded in tales told for the ignorant. MAN 31:6. None knows in truth the old motherland, or where it was. There are tales, but they disagree. The Nine Bows says it was southward. The learned priests are not united in thought. Some say towards the west, where the sun now sets, while others say towards the east, where the sun rises. Southward are great mountains and forests, monsters, and men covered with hair. Here, winds are formed within the earth and issue forth from a black cavern. It is a place of chaos, where water, soil, and air are not separate. The old motherland could not have been there. To the left-hand side, there is a great wilderness, the land of Amua. The old motherland could not have given birth to such as these. To the right hand is the wide plain of man-eaters, which stretches out to the far reaches of old Camus. This was barren even in the oldest times. To the north of the wilderness, the land is occupied by deformed men and dwarfs. Where amid this could have been the fertile pastures and plowlands, well watered from the Sky River, where men lived in peaceful content? The old motherland was never there, nor, as some say, in the waters beyond, which boil at the extremity. Beyond the wide river there once was a land graced with all riches needful to men, crowned by many walled Meru, but it was not the land of our birth. Northward is the home of the cool breeze, but beyond the lands which skirt the salt water are the one-eyed peoples and the giants with white hair and eyes. Here the rocks and stones are of the whitest marble, and the trees bear white fruit. Thus in the whiteness the eyes of men are blinded in their youth, for even the grass grows white. Before this is the land of Hazua, a place unproductive and barren, where fruit never appears on the trees and crops will not ripen. How could the old motherland lie in this direction? MAN 31:7. In the old books, it is said that the old motherland was ruled by the Queen of Light, who was supreme above all. The temple tales tell that the lesser gods came to dwell among mortals when the mistress of brightness ruled in Calathi, that they were sheltered in temples and priests were appointed to minister unto them. It is said that places of instruction were set up within the temples, but few men were taught the inner knowledge. It was rightly held that it would be a danger to those without wisdom, and it had to be safeguarded. Is this not the tale told in the Book of Beginnings? It is said that Calathi lay within the borders of Kamu, but could it not have been the land of similar sounding name outward from Pontus, beyond God's land? MAN 31:8. Is it not said of both that they were engulfed in fire and water? In the Book of Beginnings it is said the generations passed, and a vast amount of knowledge and wisdom was accumulated and preserved in purity. It was the heritage of mankind, but though man had learned to cherish the light of truth and walk wisely with it, nevertheless, then as now, false priesthoods flourished. They pandered to the carnal desires of the undeveloped and exploited the weaknesses of the ignorant. Their iniquity built up a vast weight of evil in the netherworld, which projected itself into the material of earth, so that the powers which upheld it became unstable. This caused all the southern part of the old land to sink down into heaving waters. MAN 31:9. The disaster was brought about through the descendants of evil. Rites which awakened the dead were rife among the carnal-minded and ignorant, while those who remained steadfast on the harder road of spiritual development had fixed their eyes on the light ahead, ignoring the pitfalls at their feet. It was then, even as now, will men ever learn? MAN 31:10. This was the aspect of the disaster, as written in the Book of Beginnings. There were openings in the land from which evil vapors poured forth as a mist, descending upon the people like a mantle. It spread out and covered the whole face of the land. The tongues of the people were stopped, and they became dumb with fear. The ground trembled beneath them, and great tongues of flame shot up. The whole land heaved and rocked like an ocean wave. As it rose and fell, groaned and shook, the fires which strove beneath burst forth to be met with shafts of lightning striking down from heaven. MAN 31:11. A thick black cloud of smoke filled the land, and men were smothered in dust. As the setting sun rested on the horizon, it could be but dimly seen beneath the cloud as a fiery red ball. When it had gone, a gray, dense darkness prevailed, lit only by great sheets of lightning. The waters broke heavily over the land, sweeping it clean. The plains and cities were covered, and new shores formed around the mountains. The waters mounted up until all that moved and lived were covered. The land was submerged. Mountain tops alone remained above the rush of uplifted torrent. Whirlwinds blew and brought cold winds which cleared away the dust and debris. Mud banks were formed, and a mountain mouth remained open to spew forth vile vapors. During one long awful night, the doomed land was torn apart and southward sank out of sight forever. MAN 31:12. A wise man has written, this was not mountain-girt Calathi or age-old Ramakai. This was the land out in the green waters where the sun sets beyond Keftu, near the lands of the Henboa. MAN 3113. It is then said they came through the marshes and across the wild mountains, beyond the barren places of stone, into a new land called Ankita. Here grew the great life tree, known even in the days of our fathers. This is a tree of strange aspect, like unto no other, though in the days of our fathers it was barren and enclosed in flames. Now we know that the life tree grew in Talis, which is towards the lands of Dawn, by Pontus. Therefore, could not the old motherland have been found hereabouts? Not all was inundated. MAN 3114. It is said, men came out of the devastation. Behind them, the land sank and the earth shook. Mountains split apart and crumbled. Where once there had been a valley, now stood a mountain. The air was filled with smoke, and hot rocks were hurled down from out of the sky. Men choked in brimstone. Great winds howled like 1,000 unearthly wild dogs. They left all behind them and came across the wild places to the land of refuge. Was not Kehamu once known to some men as the land of refuge? Therefore, the whereabouts of the old motherland is not unknown. It is said that when men came from the old land, the everlasting stars rested where earth meets heaven, but none knows how many lifetimes have passed since then. MAN 3115. Thus, it is not impossible to discover where the old motherland lay. Therefore, there is hope, and men need not despair, for the secret may be rediscovered, when once again the sacred things rest in the old land from whence they came. The days of disturbance will cease, and once again men will live in peace. Men go forth to seek the road. All is not lost to us yet. MAN 3116. Now the great house of the hidden places stands in Kehamu. It is built to last forever and stands up strongly towards heaven, high above the heads of men. It is covered with white stones. The white stone of Rechem was cut for it, and above it is topped with copper. It is not the copper of men, but the copper of God. Within it lies the womb of rebirth, used by the twice-born of the enlightened ones. Men enter its portals to die and come out restored to life, reborn as gods. Beside it stands the temple of the radiant ones, many-pillared and walled about. Here is the great portal of entry into life, and above it, on a great stone, these words may be seen. MAN 3117. From the children of God to the children of men, behold, we found you in bondage to mortal bodies, and bestowed upon you the gift of everlasting life. MAN 3118. My brothers, these are days of distress, and no man knows the outcome of the strife that rends the land. For long generations this was a land of peace, a land blessed with bounty, but now men have wrought evil upon it. They who have gone to save it may not complete their journey back, and naught shall have been achieved. Therefore, I say unto you, prepare to depart hence, even as it is written, let the things that are more valuable than life be brought to safety. Above life and land is God. He is above life and land.